Hello friendos and randos, welcome back to another video. Today we are making an OP05 deck profile for Bello Betty, the new red-yellow Revolutionary Army type leader. Her effect is activate main once per turn. You may discard a Revolutionary Army type card from your hand, and then you may give up to 3 of your Revolutionary Army or trigger type characters plus 3000 power for the turn. So it's a very strong effect. By discarding one card, you get 9k worth of power. So that's 9 ton efficiency. Of course, you do need the full 3 characters on board in order to get that efficiency, but still very powerful leader effect and makes her one of the best aggro decks in OP05. That being said, let's head into it. So we're gonna start off with the obvious revolutionary package that you'll need in this deck. This is one of my decks that I did pass to my girlfriend to play because it was fairly aggressive and straightforward to play as well. So you can see there are some uwu sleeves that has been added to them. Very cute flowery sleeves. First up, we have the Revolutionary Army Searcher Betty, Bello Betty as well. On play, searches the top 5 for a Revolutionary Army type card and then adds it to your hand, returns the rest to the bottom. Very standard, 1 cost red Searcher. Next, we have 3 copies of the 2 cost Bartholomew Kuma. This card is really good because it has trigger and it also gets rid of pesky blockers like Brule and Rebecca. Next up, we have a 3 cost Morley. His effect is when attacking, if this character has 7000 power or more, then your opponent cannot activate blockers for the battle. And of course, he is one of our first trigger units, which will be dropping on the board by discarding a card if you hit him off of life. So one of the key ways that Betty gains tempo is by triggering bodies out of life and getting that big 3 white board out so that she can use her leader effect. To supplement that, of course, we also have Ivankov. Ivankov's effect is to once per turn activate main. If this character has 7000 power or more, you can play down a 5k power or less Revolutionary Army type character. So if you're using your leader effect on Ivankov, you can use it for free basically because he will immediately be put on 8k power. Alternatively, you can just use it as a discount to put 2 Don on Ivankov and then play down a 4 cost unit, for example. So that is very good efficiency as well. Next, of course, one of the best red cards that I put in the YouTube shorts, Karasu. Karasu actually ended up not being used in many other decks because of how slow he in fact was. You do still see him in Sabo and Bello Betty, of course, but Karasu's main effect is on play, give up to one of your opponent's leader or characters minus 1k power if your leader is the Revolutionary Army type. So because this is locked, that's probably why he doesn't see that much play. And then of course, secondly, when attacking, if this character has 7k power or more, then you may give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 1k. So of course, when he comes down, he does the -1, and then when you attack with him the next turn, he also gives the -1, which makes your opponent's leader 4 or 5k depending on what leader they are playing. And if you have multiple, you can even make your opponent's leader a 3k or 4, even a 2k power leader if you're lucky enough to have 3. I've had the displeasure of having to guard a 2k power leader before. It is very unfun. Alright, next up we have Lindberg. Lindberg's effect is when attacking, if this character has 7k power or more, then you may KO a 3000 power or less opponent's character. So this is kind of like basically Robin or Pell, just a smaller version of Pell. And again, he does trigger off of life if you discard a card, which makes it really good again to give you that extra tempo and aggression. Alright, next up we have 4 of the 3 cost Inazuma. Inazuma's effect is if there is another character with 7000 power or more on your board, this character gains rush. So it's good if it comes down with the Eva's effect or something like that, so it immediately becomes a rush unit. Do note that if you do play it down with the Eva's effect after using your leader ability, of course you can't select it as a target for the leader ability. So usually what I would do is just drop the Inazuma first and then activate Eva's effect. Another cool thing is that he counts himself if there are multiple of him. So for example, if you drop 2 Inazumas at once and then you use your leader effect on both, you have 2 7k rush units for 6 Don, which is really good. Okay, next is EMPORIO Tension Hormone. This card is 3 Dawn. Give up to one of your leaders or characters plus 3k for the turn, and then after that play up to one 5k or less power Revolutionary Army type card from your hand. And this card is not great as a counter event because it's 3 Dawn for plus 3k, but it does let you play a unit from hand, and more importantly, the trigger is it allows you to play any of your Revolutionary Army type characters with a power of 5k or less from your hand. So this is one way for you to trigger Ivankov or Karasu from your hand rather than just Molly or the Lindberg. Which is why we're playing it at 4, just to increase the chances of hitting it in the trigger. Okay. Another event we're running is 2 of the Fire Fist from the Revolutionary Army. This is of course Sabo's Fire Fist. His effect is main. You may choose up to one of your opponent's characters and give them -4k power, and then after that, if you have 2 life or less, you may KO a 0 power unit. So it's kind of like Crossfire and Seaquake had a baby, basically. So I've been calling this Crossquake a few times also, but basically why this card has a few slots here is because of 1, its synergy with the Kuma and the Lindberg, and for 2, because 0 power is actually fairly common now with Shirahoshi as well as Rebecca, so you can use it to really get a simple like 2 for 2 kind of change. If you use this and then use Lindberg, you can pop Rebecca and then pop a Sabo, or you can pop Brule with this, or you can pop a 6k body if you use this and then the Kuma as well. So a lot of pretty good combos that it matches into, plus it doesn't really break because you can discard it for your leader effect since it does have the Revolutionary Army type. Alright, and the last Revolutionary Army card we're running is 4 of the 2k counter Koala. On play, just give -3k power to one of your opponent's units. It is locked to Revolutionary Army type leaders though, but that is fair because it is a very powerful card. It is 2 cost 3k and 2k counter, so much stronger than Otama. Alright, now we're moving on to some of the other cards that we're running as well. To wrap up our 2k counters, we are also running 4 of the OP01 Sanji. This is for mainly matchups where your opponent tries to starve you and not hit your life. You're able to still regain resources and swing for 7k, which is very powerful. We're also running 2 of the Trigger Satori, the new one, from OP05. Effect is, of course, discard 1 card to just play this character down. He is 2k counter, and he's also 5 cost, and this makes him very annoying to deal with for Sakazuki especially, off of Trigger. Another thing you could consider is, of course, switching the ratios for these. I think either way is fine. In the current meta, it may be better to run 4 Satori, but I haven't really adjusted this list a lot since the Sakazuki became super popular, but I would recommend running around 10 2k counters total. Next, we're also running 3 of the Trigger Blocker Kobe from the Film Uta pack. You can choose to run less of these or none of them at all. I just like having the additional blocker with the 3k body as well, so he can be used as an attacker if you use your leader effect. Right. On that note, we're also running 3 of the OP04 Sanji card. Again, you could probably bump this up to 4 if you swap over a Kobe or something like that too. I think either way is fine. I'm running 3 just as a... I'm running 3 of each. I think 4 of Sanji is fine as well. You can also be running something like Cracker or Smoothie in this slot just to have even more additional aggression, so it's a 5k body instead. But I do like the Trigger Blocker just to save me in some pinch or clutch situations. And then lastly, my last one card here is going to be the 2 cost Amaru. This is an event that has been really popular recently in OP05 because it does help you get rid of the Borsalino. It also does, of course, give you Dawn Efficiency, gives you plus 3k power to one of your leaders or characters, so you can plus 3k and then still rest and get rid of 1 blocker, which makes it really powerful. It's also an option to, of course, swap the Fire Fist here to more of these, but I think I did want to keep the revolutionary targets primarily higher so that you can continue to use your leader effect and not have to worry about breaking on no revolutionaries. And yeah, this is Bello Betty. The basic playstyle of it is very simple. You want to go second, you want to drop multiple of the Bello Betty on turn 1. If not, then you want to drop Kuma or Koala. On 4 Dawn, you want to put down the Ivankov and then use your leader effect on Ivankov so that you can play down a Karasu or a Lindberg or Morley. ideally, if your 3-down turn you get hit, you have a trigger as well, so you can hit with the Koala and the trigger. Or if you put down 2 Bettys, you can swing with the 2 Bettys for 5 each, and then buff the Ivankov as well to play down another unit. Following turns after that would just be, again, using the Ivankov's effect to continue to flood your board, and then play down more units as you go on. So again, simple progression: 2 Bettys, play Ivankov, use leader effect, buff all 3. The Ivankov plays down maybe a Karasu, and all of your 3 units are your 2 Bettys and your leader swings. Next up, on your 6th turn, you will continue to play units down with Ivankov's effect, so putting 2 down on the Ivankov, and then after that, just swinging with your entire board. You may not need to swing on that turn, you can also set up for the next turn after that. And then after that, you would like to kill your opponent ideally on 8 or 10 on turn with whatever board you have already. So that's why the list is very, very aggressive as well. It wants to have a lot more units in general. Trigger as well, we want to have these so that we can get rid of, so that we can trigger out any of our bodies, especially the Ivankov. Being able to trigger out Ivankov is really, really powerful. And then lastly, we do want to have some ways to remove blockers, because that is what will really ruin our big 8k, 9k kind of swings. So we do have the Fist as well as the Amaru here. Some other options are, instead of this, you can also run the 2-cost blocker from the Revolutionary Army. So in the Kobe spot, you can also be running Cracker, you can also be running Smoothie, any other kind of trigger units. There were a few lists that ran Parasparrow at the beginning, but I didn't really like it because it was very likely to miss on the surge. Although of course it is just another trigger unit. If they do come up with more 2k counters that can kind of trigger, like Satori, I think this deck will be really, really powerful because you can just make even more triggers. But in OP06, you do get the new Ivankov card, which I would probably slot over here in the Kobe spot, which is the effect of it would be 5 cost 6k. You would play down look at the top 3 and then play down one of the Revolutionary Army type cards that you saw in the top 3, which is really, really powerful because it is effectively a draw 1 as well as a Film Brook kind of effect. So it really does help with the leader's kind of game plan. And I think that's basically it for Bello. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope the Uwu flowers kind of added a little bit to the aesthetic of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys again next time. One more thing, notably, Bello is one of the cheapest leaders to build in OP06 and OP05 because of the fact that almost all of the cards are OP05 cards. So looking at it, everything here is an OP05 card. So there's only like 10 cards here that aren't from OP05. And in Asia, at least, OP05 red full sets like this would probably cost you only about $10 to $15 at maximum, even with the koalas. And even with the 4 SR Sabos that I'm not using in this deck as well. So this is a fantastic budget build for anyone probably coming into the game new. But I will say that Bello is not easy to play because of the resource management aspect of it, which would make it a little bit daunting for newer players to kind of pick up. But if you are really on a budget, I think this is one of the cheapest decks you can probably build out there right now. If you're running, example, the Hack Vanilla as well as the 2-cost Revolutionary Army blocker, you can literally get entire OP05 set and only play OP05 cards, and that would be very, very cheap. Of course, I do think you would want to add more 2k counters as well as this Sanji blocker because it is very, very good. And if you are able to get cards, I do believe the Sanji here would be fairly cheap as well. I'm not sure about the Sanji blocker for maybe the Western audience, but I'm definitely sure this is probably a little bit expensive too. But everything else here is going to be fairly cheap, which is very, very nice. So if you are looking for a build on a budget, I would definitely recommend to start with Bello, and then after that, from there, you'll be able to maybe pivot even into Sabo. You'll be able to pivot into maybe a variation of Zoro, something like that as well. Main thing being, the deck is pretty good, it is cheap, and it is straightforward enough to learn. Your games will end really fast, and you'll quickly learn how to do math. So that is my recommendation for why you should be playing Bello Betty. It has a really strong aggressive matchup into Purple Luffy. It does decently well into Katakuri as well. I think the main struggles will be Sakazuki and NL because they will be able to either remove your board or make it difficult for you to continue building board up. That being said, thank you again for coming, friendos and randos. I hope you've enjoyed this deck profile. I will see you guys again soon. Bye bye.